On this episode of the Hear 'Em Out Show, it is entitled In His Feelings.
Men are starting to express their emotions more.
And women, for some reason, y'all don't like it.
And that's confusing as hell.
Let's talk about it.
This is the Hear Him Out Show, a show we created for men to be heard, where women are welcome to listen.
Yo, we got a barn burner. Here we go. We're going to talk about in his feelings, right? So since the dawning of time, men have heard women say and tell us, we want you to be more emotionally available. We want you to be more vulnerable. We want you all this stuff. And I think now we are starting to understand with all the men's mental health issues, we're starting to understand the necessity of releasing all that anxiety, releasing all that stress, and actually giving ourselves space to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the problem. You see online, women, y'all ain't like it. Y'all are seeing something that men have had to deal with. And the weight you carry when you hold space for somebody else and you have to assume the temporary responsibility for their emotions and their vulnerability. And before we get into that, Shakim, let's start with this, right? So this is a new thing. A lot of dudes, we have always been told, stop crying, man up, what you crying for? Don't be a bitch, insert whatever you want. So at what point in your journey did you start to get comfortable with like, yo, I need to do this. I'm comfortable with this. This is my truth. Expressing yourself vulnerability. Like when did that like awakening happen for you?
I used to suppress it a lot, and I would feel something, get mad, get irritated, and I would just do push-ups. I was doing that for years. I swear to God, dog.
Was you locked up? That's what it sounded like.
My dad was, and when he got out, the first thing he taught us was how to make right popcorn and how to do push-ups for card games. So yeah, push-ups just became like walking. Like it just became this outlet, and so I was able to suppress it long enough through high school, through college, and then when I started going through my healing phases, it just became impossible to keep in the back anymore. And so I think the first times of me expressing truths to myself in a way that was vulnerable was on my healing journey, specifically the meditative journey in indigenous practices. I had to start letting it out because you feel like it gets to the point where niggas who can attest to this, it'll feel like you're going to combust. It'll feel like there's so much welling up within you that you're going to explode. And so I got to that point. It was like, you're either going to cross this line or maybe have a psychotic break. And so I started admitting things to myself. I cried it out. And to me, that was the birth of my throat chakra. And then really, when it came to other people, I went through a breakup. It was a 7-year breakup. Yeah. And then the big moment of me being vulnerable and open was when she tried to get back together. She tried to get back together, and I had to set a boundary. And in doing that, I remember it felt so weird. I was like, oh, snap, I'm talking about how I feel in front of somebody. Like, that's weird.
You know, and it is weird. That's why a lot of dudes are like kind of anti-therapy, and I'm all for it in any forms if you're comfortable with it. But it's the idea of talking about your feelings. And the first point I kind of want to hit on is women. This is something you don't know. I don't know if a lot of women have been able to articulate this. I don't even know if a lot of fellows have been able to, but women have had a monopoly on the safe space of vulnerability, the space of expressing yourselves and being heard and being seen. Y'all have had a monopoly on that. So you're so very comfortable with saying these words that every man fears. We need to talk.
Oh my God.
We need to talk. Or can I ask you something? Oh, damn. I can't tell you. Fuck. There's never been more sentences other than I'm late that have struck more anxiety in a man's soul than we need to talk or can I ask you a question?
Oh
You're not about to ask a question.
You're
right?
about to have a whole conversation.
We're about to have a TED talk, right?
Yeah.
And it's 90% of it's going to be about what I didn't do or I need to do, right?
Mm-hmm. And your seminar is prepared and I'm over here scrambling for notes.
Right. I'm over here like, oh shit, hold up, baby. I was just watching the game. Like the Lakers trying to make the playoffs, but y'all ladies, you have had a monopoly on that space. So being in your feelings, being vulnerable, being emotionally available has really had no negative blowback, right? At worst, dudes dismiss it and we call you crazy. But in most cases, your feelings, your emotions are validated. Now let's flip that on us. First off, we're not comfortable with that. And when we do get to a phase to where we are comfortable and we enter into that space that y'all invited us into, that y'all said y'all want an emotionally intelligent, an emotionally available, a vulnerable man. And be careful what you wish for, boo-boo. Because now you're seeing the toll it takes on you emotionally and physically. It takes a lot to have a man. When we sit there and we listen, I mean genuinely listen, and we care and we try to understand, and we don't listen to respond, but we listen to understand, y'all. That shit gets transferred to us on top of what we're already carrying, on top of the weight of expectations that men already carry. And now we are starting to get more comfortable in these spaces. We are actually starting to demand that we get these spaces and set boundaries so that we have this opportunity. And it's been a lot of blowback.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest causes of the blowback is that there are a lot of women at the forefront of the popular industry who are making it seem like it's cool to talk shit like this, to berate a man, to put him down here. The true truth is that a lot of them are probably in happy relationships, not abiding by anything that they're saying. Just like we was talking about Future earlier, convincing all these young kids to do drugs and do lean, and he don't even do it. A lot of the women at the forefront of this convincing y'all to talk to y'all mans like this, they're not even doing that behind closed doors. So I think that's a little tricky.
I already in that.
Yeah, man, that's tricky. So yeah.
And this is the thing, G. You hear it all the time, like, and I've heard this so many times on so many other podcasts, just reading the comment sections of shit. And it's like, oh, dudes ain't any feelings. Men are soft. Too many dudes that it's like, I thought y'all wanted us to meet you halfway. We're trying to hold space. So essentially, it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. The biggest fear dudes have with being open and being vulnerable is this feeling of being weak, of being seen or looked at as weak. And now, as we're opening up, you're seeing out there in the culture and online that women are clowning that shit.
I mean, it's okay if y'all can't host, baby. Y'all ain't strong enough.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah. You don't understand what it takes.
I know a couple bisexual women who said they would never date a woman because they said it's too complicated.
It's too much.
It's okay if y'all aren't built for the job, man.
It's like we just saying, but it's funny that now men are being poked at, right? We've been made fun of because we're like, yo, listen, I feel like XYZ. I feel like you saying this or that or whatever. And the first thing you're starting to see is, oh, they soft. I can't deal with that. Oh, y'all see how fucking exhausting that is to be told and to have your emotions expressed and oftentimes put on somebody else. And it's a lot. And y'all gotta just on a serious note, like, we try to talk about men's mental health here. That's why this is a space for men to be heard when women are welcome to listen. So hear me out on this. I believe 82%, I got to Google it, I believe 82% of suicides are done by males.
Yeah.
82% of all suicides are achieved and done and accomplished, whatever the hell you want to say, by men. That says something.
Yeah.
There's something to that. Yeah. And I think dudes, we're starting to understand where this shit comes from, the conditioning and all that stuff. And now it's a necessity. And tell me if you agree with this, Shakim. It is not only a want, not only a desire, but it is a necessity for a man to be in his feelings.
It is required. Whether you're going to do that in therapy, whether you're going to do it in Temazcal, whether you're going to do it with your homeboys on King's Brunch every Sunday, if you don't get it off, it will drive you insane. And for somebody who's teetered the line of insanity, dude, the payout's not worth it. Like, the next morning you wake up, you're happy you survived, you realize what got you there, and you say, okay, what can I do to avoid that at all costs so that it never happens again? Well, I saw myself going down that journey not too long ago again, teetering down that trajectory again. Right. Just because the circumstances compiled in a way that could play that chord again. And I asked myself, what's the first thing I could do right now to completely take the floor from this amalgam right here? And it was expressing. Just expressing. So whether that's howling at the moon, and y'all may think I'm crazy for some shit, but I don't give a fuck. Whether it's howling at the moon, whether it's going to the ocean and writing some intentions or that you need to throw away.
I'm down with the second one. The first one, the howling at the moon, that's some Shakim shit right there. But I co-sign it. Whatever you need to do to release. And just on that, just a little something we talked about in a previous episode, right? This is just a little method that we use, right? The first thing you got to do when you talk about in your feelings, all right, is release. Release that shit. And then you got to shift mentally. You got to find a way mentally to look at your things, look at the problems you're going as something that doesn't stress you, but stretches you. Everything you're going through, and the reason why you're in your feelings right now is to expand your capacity to handle more shit and to move on. And then you got to pivot. You got to do something physically. Then you got to make an actual plan like, okay, I'm stressed the hell out. I'm in my feelings because for some reason my marriage ain't working, or for some reason the money ain't right. What are you doing, fellas, to make a plan, an action? Like, it ain't just I'm gonna go do push-ups. It ain't just I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm just gonna have a drink, I'm gonna go resort to porn. You got to make a plan, and you got to execute that shit.
Yes,
when you are in your feelings, and ladies, I don't know about y'all because y'all a little more emotionally available. Y'all can get in y'all feelings. Y'all go through all these ebbs and flows throughout the day. When a man gets to the point of breaking, of a need to express and release, that shit is a compound effect of a plethora of things that has happened over a sustained amount of time. And so when we finally get to that point and we feel comfortable enough, even though we uncomfortable, but we feel brave enough to have this conversation with you, to let you know why I've had an attitude, why I've been distant, all these questions you want to know. When we get to that point, you have to give us that space.
Yeah.
If you do not give us that space, and then you have the audacity, not all of y'all, but some of y'all have the audacity to poke fun and talk about, he and his feelings.
Shame.
You know
on
how
you.
harmful and damaging that shit is?
Shame on you. You shouldn't be dating. You should be in a psych ward.
But it's a selfish thing because, like I said, women, you have had a monopoly on emotions, on emotional availability. So y'all, for those out there who like to poke fun at that, stop asking for it.
Yeah.
If you don't want a man to let you know what's going on with him, if you want him to deal with his shit on his own, if that's the kind of dude, because there are dudes who find ways. I don't think that's the most successful way to live a happy, healthy life and to deal with men's mental health, but some find ways to do that. If that's y'all arrangement, then do that. Yeah. But you cannot be mad if shit is not being shared. If you see an attitude, if you see the effect that it's taken on your relationship without even giving space to understand the cause and the root of it, then you got to keep it moving. Because we need to be in our feelings so that we can work our way through that shit, so that we can do what men are doing. We take action.
Ashe. And so in alignment with that, I want to send a message to the men specifically. A lot of men started on the complete left side. And so they started off completely cold, completely raw, completely brash. They don't express nothing. They suppress, blah, blah. And it seems like maybe it teetered all the way over to the right side, to where maybe some of us are in this raw state of now expressing all the time.
Raw.
It's raw. My homegirl told me the other day, she said nigga broke down on her in the drive-through of Carl's Jr. It's like, just started crying because they got the order wrong. It's like, hey man, he's probably I reckon they're going through a lot, bro.
It ain't about the order.
Yeah,
it's about something far deeper and nefarious.
So our kings, maybe now that we've gone all the way over to this side, maybe now we allow the seesaw to balance in the middle and do something that is maybe goal oriented when it comes to figuring out how we're going to express this, get this off our chest. It'll have an answer, a solution at the end. But I know I used to have a problem with this, expressing it in a way that's not so cold and dictatory and brash. Man, I felt horrible about that. I thought I was doing good, expressing my emotions, talking, saying my thoughts.
It's new.
It's brand new.
Gee, I'm a dad. I got twins. I got a boy and a girl. And even right now, I have to be conscious. When my little girl cries, my first thing is, oh, baby, because she's fucking adorable, the cutest little girl ever. So I'm like, oh, baby, what's wrong? What's wrong? My son cries. Man, what's wrong? What you crying about? Even that little bit already, because of my condition, I'm already conditioning my son that he needs to have a reason to be crying. And it's okay for my daughter. So from the time you're born, ladies, you were given space automatically to express yourself. So you're so good at it. In fact, you're so damn good at it, it annoys us. But you're so good at it.
So good at it that you do it all the time.
Like dudes, we do it. We only do this shit, express ourselves, as a survival mechanism. It is a fight or flight response. It's like, yo, I'm in a depression. I'm having some deep, dark thoughts. I want to off myself or off everybody around me. I need to do something with this shit because it's been swelling up. So it might be a little raw. And so, like, piggyback off of what you're saying, first off, show your man grace. Show any men in your life grace who are actually brave enough to go on that journey to express themselves. Then, fellas, accountability. You got to find healthy outlets.
Yeah.
You gotta find it. Just last night I was in the gym. And it's just a lot. I'm a new dad, I provide for my family. I'm creating all this stuff. It's a lot. It's just a lot. It's not even negative. It's just emotion, right? And I'm in the sauna and I'm just vibing. I'm listening to J. Cole. I think was it Forest Hills, and I was just listening to a song, and I just tears just started welling in my eyes. I'm like, what the hell? I'm over here sweating, tears are swelling up, and I was just like, man, you just in here, let it out. And I was just like, oh shit. And I was like, then I thought to myself, why am I doing this? What is this? And I was like, I don't need a reason why. My body is telling me I got some stuff up, but we get so busy, we get so caught up on trying to provide, plan, and protect, and do all the shit that we were required to do to be considered a good man. That was just my body was like, just let it out.
I respect that,
and
shit
I felt
so much,
good.
bro.
Once I went home, got my funky ass in the shower, and I was just like, I needed that release.
Yeah.
So that's it's just the shit you need.
Ashay, man, that's so beautiful, bro. I respect that. Just the fact that you respected yourself enough, heard yourself enough to release that shit. The majority of people are talking about this word ick now. The idea of ick. And how if that happened in the wrong circumstance with the wrong woman present, might consider that icky. And the true truth is that a king is one who can harmonize. We used to say the word balance, but it's really harmonize. Can harmonize not just all of the external forces, but all of the internal forces too. So that to me is the divine harmony, bro. Is that we can analyze that shit, recognize when it needs to be expressed, and then do it in a way that's safe and healthy. And I'm sure you went back to the house that day to your family a more efficient version of it.
And I'm gonna place this challenge to women out there. If you find a dude you're dating to be expressive, I'm not talking about an overly emotional. I have seen dudes. It's not soft. I'm talking about dudes who take a victim mentality. Right? They have a victim mentality. It's a woe is me. That is ununattractive. I don't care how you look at it. That's ick.
Horrible.
But if you got a dude, and if you know he's a strong ass dude, and he's expressing himself, and you think that's icky, that's a turnoff, that's unattractive, ask yourself why. That's the homework I'm gonna give you, ladies.
I can give you the answer right now. It's because you're a child. Look, listen, we have to really start recognizing what is infantile and what is not. And a lot of the times these women are saying these things because they're still in an infantile phase. So that'll confuse some of our kings who are learning how to express the throat chakra and using the solar and the confidence in the solar chakra. So there aren't
just man-child.
No, they are.
Way. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, brother. They are among us, bro. The infants, bro. The grown infants, bro.
The grown infants.
And they be looking good. They dressed up and they baby hair is laid and they drive nice cars and
nails done.
And they get to talking and you ask enough questions and you realize, oh, you're still in an infantile mind state. So to our kings, please don't be misled by that. You got to recognize when it's a safe space for you to even open up these parts of yourself.
Oh,
you know, because for the longest time I used to have these exercises in the mirror. Like you had it in the sauna.
Yep.
I would have these exercises in the mirror. I'll never forget one of the craziest exercises I ever did was James and amazing vocal coach in Atlanta. We was at Marvelous Marvin, and we was in there for artist development. And so we were in vocal class, and he had us sing our song in the mirror, looking at ourselves in the eye. And I recognized how uncomfortable. The first time I did it, it was so uncomfortable. But then doing it over and over and over again, I realized it's not just about the singing. It's looking myself in the eye and facing something and really coming to terms with something. And that alone will open up space for you to heal in a way. Yeah, that you can now take that to a woman and maybe do it in a woman's presence. It took me a while to get comfortable doing it in a woman's presence.
And yo, before we wrap this up, I think baby steps. So you in his feelings. Let's take women out the equation. Fellas, you ain't do it private. Get comfortable enough with yourself, because if you're not comfortable enough doing that shit in your own confidence, you're not gonna be able to do that with, especially oftentimes who you're doing that in front of might be part of the cause of why you feel that way.
Yeah.
And so if you don't want that shit to come out too raw, just work on it with yourself. Like I said, I'll cry in a sauna. Sometimes when my workout gets too intense, I'll do it there. I'll go for a drive. I just learned that it's better for my mental health to release that shit rather than keep it up, because I've held it in and then I've lashed out on my lady. Unintentionally, and then that just causes more problems, right? So I would say baby steps, but create space for yourself. So let's go into the segment of the day, okay? Men's mental health tip. Simple, straightforward, no bells and whistles. Let that shit out, fellas.
Yes.
Everything we're talking about, I cannot tell you this idea. It is prehistoric, this idea of holding shit inside. Real men don't cry. Real men handle their business. Let's try a different way of manning up. Instead of just manning up and moving on, this is a new way to man up. You man up, you release that shit, then you go on. We did an episode, Put the Tears to Work.
Yeah.
Like, refer to that. You got to put the tears to work. Women sometimes, at least from my personal experience, are okay. It's enough to be expressed. Yeah. It doesn't need to have a logical thing. It just needs to be expressed. For dudes, we need to know why the hell we're crying, and then we want to do something with those tears. So if you get to a boiling point where you have to let that shit out, that's information. Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. So what is your body telling you, and how can you use that information? So before you talk about the man up shit, I don't feel this. Feel it. put the tears to work and then be like, you know what? Cool. I released that. I feel a little lighter. Now, what can I do with that? What is my body trying to tell me that I've held that shit inside? Is there a very difficult conversation I need to have with my spouse? Is it some face-to-face shit like my man Shakim said, where I got to look myself in the mirror and realize I'm the reason I'm not where I thought I would be in life? Whatever that may be. But you got to let that shit out. Put the tears to work. Man up after you release. And that's the men's mental health tip. Oh, and that's it for the show. But before we end, we like to do something different here at the Hear 'Em Out Show. We like to clear the space. We like to leave you in a better condition than you were when you got here. We like to leave the physical space. So Shakim, how we going to do that, G?
Today I'm going to use these shells gifted to me by a wonderful teacher named Mrs. Judith. She has an amazing shop in Chatsworth, and she has helped me so much in my sound journey. These shells are used to clear space, to clean chakras, to ground. And yeah, these are my babies, so we're going to use these.
So this has been the Hear 'Em Out Show. And this is a place for men to be heard, but women are welcome to listen. And what's our aim, Shakim?
Our aim is to speak truth, add value, and offer a perspective that has the opportunity to lead to growth and elevation.
We love y'all. Ashay.
Peace.